What's going on, everybody? Josh Pocock here, and in today's video I'm going to show you how you can use the OpenAI API within your make.com or n8n application workflow scenarios, or really just in anything. All right, if you're building out specific custom software or tools, whatever, how you can actually leverage the OpenAI API. We're not going to cover everything, but I'm going to show you the basics so you can message an assistant, maintain the thread context, and all that good stuff. Let's dive right into it. All right, so just to give you a little bit of background why I actually, came about this. Well, first off, typically when I would build out my scenarios within make.com, what I would like to do, let's say if I'm messaging an assistant here with Make's native ChatGPT module, you can just message the assistant and show advanced settings, import the module model, as well as the different tools, file search resources, etc. Right? Your message goes here. You can add like user assistant, etc. And here is the main thing that, at least right now, like I'm going to show you what I did, and you're going to see kind of the workaround I found. If you know any other way, you can let me know in the description down below. But they have this thread ID. So essentially what in n8n, if you're using n8n, for example, or really anything else, maybe where it doesn't have that thread ID or whatever the case may be, like, basically, let's say if I go to OpenAI, as this loads here, okay, OpenAI. So you have these specific actions. You can create an assistant, all this stuff, message an assistant. So let's say we go to message an assistant, just like we did in make.com. We can choose our assistant, and you can either take from previous nodes, say if we're doing the chat one, or define below. So I could just define a text right here. Now there's these different options: base URL, max retries, timeout, preserve original tools. So you can edit those. You can edit settings, obviously. But the main thing I noticed within n8n, and I'm still perfecting or like really working different, or building out different OpenAI AI assistant scenarios, or whatever you want to call them, within n8n. So still learning a lot, of course, but one thing I noticed that's different than make.com is, let's say if I have, for example, I have right here a messaging of an assistant, right? And then if I wanted to, let's just delete this, and for this example, let's just drag this here. So I wanted to have another message assistant. Well, if I go to this message assistant, take from previous nodes, so I can't really reference the same thread, right? I have my thread ID right here, but there's no way to put the thread ID opposed from in make.com. I can just put the thread ID, so I could do another ChatGPT message assistant, and I could take the thread ID I get from this output, put it here, so it all maintains within the same message thread and sequence, so it maintains context within the whole conversation. And theoretically, I could just like, have a bunch of these going, and they're all within the same message thread. It's a little bit different in n8n, at least from what I've seen. And there are other there's a lot more that n8n has than make, in terms of like you can connect memory here. You can do these different options to add memory. You can also go up here. There is the advanced AI, and you can do the AI agent, where you can select the model. So you can do different models. You can do, let's see, there's literally so many different AI nodes. There's memory, so you can actually, okay, so we cover the memory. There's embeddings, so you can use different embeddings. And there's vector stores, so you can use different vector stores. So there's like Pinecone and stuff. So you can do it a lot of different ways. And I'm going to be showing you guys more of that as well. But just for like a very basic, like if you wanted to, and keep it within the same thread, if you want to do a thread ID, this is the way I found. All right, if you know a different way that's better, let me know in the comments down below. But basically just using HTTP requests for the OpenAI API. So let's just say, for example, here's our example use case right here. Have a webhook, Airtable, and then this is where it all starts. So we're messaging the assistant. All right, so here I just say text or test, and we'll just do this. So once that happens, I already got the output for that, so I'll just show you. So I have the thread ID. We're going to, it really consists of 3 to 4 HTTP requests, all right? And like I said, if you're building out a lot, if you really want to leverage like, you know, memory and stuff, I'm going to show you more about using the AI agents with memory and embeddings and all that, and vector stores, etc. And I'll show you more of those in later videos. But for the purpose of this, if you just want to like have it where you're messaging the same thread and you're getting that same thread response, like I just showed you in make.com, this is one way to do it. So you have the HTTP request, and I'll show you, I'll leave the API of OpenAI in the description down below. Of course, you're going to need to first off make an OpenAI authorization connection. I'll show you that in just a second here. Okay, so API is, okay, it's being kind of slow right now just because I'm recording, but you can go all the way up to authentication. It's going to show you what it is. It's very simple. It's the same as pretty much any API you would connect to. You're just doing an authorization and then bear and your OpenAI key. All right, you can easily get your OpenAI key from your OpenAI account. You need to go to the platform website. All right, so I'm not going to like explain in depth like how to connect to OpenAI, but basically if you go into make, you create a HTTP. So like, let's say if I did this HTTP, all right, then you're going to see authentication. You can do predefined credential type, and you can just search OpenAI and you'll see that right here. Then I already have credentials here, but you would do new credentials and you would just type in actually you would just put your API key here, and then you would let me just make sure here. Okay, so I actually have the API key here. I'm going to delete this, of course, after this video, but I don't even think you need this here. Let me just double check. Let me see if I remove this header. Do we need the header? So let's see. Remove test. Okay, so yeah, you actually don't need the header, obviously, once you do the credentials here. So I'm going to delete that API key or that authorization. So you only need that, of course, if you're, you know, building it through whatever application and you don't already have the API key set up in here. But so yeah, let me remove that, and like I said, I'm going to delete that API key afterwards. But anyways, so you have your predefined credential for OpenAI. You would go here, create your credential type. You would just simply paste in your API key, and that's it. And you would just click save, and then you'd be connected, right? It automatically does it, so you don't need to add it in the headers. All right, so once you do that, I'll delete that. The 3 to 4 API endpoints. This is what I found is the kind of flow, because right here you already messaged an assistant. So you've selected the assistant, and yeah, you already did that. So you will already have a thread ID for that message. So then we're going to use the endpoint of api.openai.com/v1/threads, JSON, and then this is the thread ID right here, which we're just grabbing from this output right here. And then we're doing /messages. All right. So that's the first endpoint, and we're doing a post. All right. This is basically because we're going to be sending a new message. to that same thread. All right, the headers are content-type, application JSON, and OpenAI-beta, assistance v2. And then we're going to send a body, and the body content is going to be raw. And I mean, you could use others, but this is how we're just going to do it. And then the JSON that we're going to use looks something like this. Okay. So role user content, please analyze like you can use, like obviously this is just the prompt I was using, but and you don't even necessarily need these file attachments. I'm just showing you what I have for mine, and this is not the end product. This is just me testing, making sure everything works. All right, and I'll leave like this basic code or the JSON in the description down below, but you can also get it, of course, in the API reference documents. So just to show you what endpoints I basically used, if this actually will load. Basically, the first one is threads. So you search on the left here for threads. We're doing thread, and we're doing what is it? It's actually, yeah, is it create a thread? No, not threads. Is it messages? I think it's messages. Yeah, create messages. So we're creating a message in that specific thread ID /messages. All right. You can see the path parameters, which is the thread ID, request body. You can see the possible different things. So we have role content. So you could do text content, image URL, image file if you need to. Attachments. This is where I had like the file ID, and you can do tools such as file search and code interpreter. Metadata if needed. And here's an example response. So we have ID, object, created a, you don't really need everything here. Like you'll see, I just have this. All right, but you can use what you need. All right, from that point on, let's go back here. Okay, so once you have that, I'll do a test run here, and you'll see this is our output. So we got, yeah, all of this is basically doing is just creating a message thread. From that point on, we're going to create another HTTP request. So what you can do, so you don't have to like redo everything, you can just duplicate the last one. So it has all the same authentication, etc. And then you are going to do a post, and a post again, all right? And this endpoint is OpenAI. This is /threads, and then thread ID, and then /runs. So now we're basically running the assistant, and that API endpoint, I believe, is right here. Threads ID. Let me double check. Threads ID. Yeah. So it's under runs, and we're creating a run. All right. So same thing. It has all the different, stuff. If you want to look in here, you can like you could do stuff like top P and max prompt tokens and max completion tokens and all this other stuff. Like there's a bunch of different, things you can actually change here and customize if needed. Here's an example response. But basic, what we're going to be doing is we're just going to be referencing our assistant. So yeah, because we're just basically running it from that thread with our assistant. So this is the assistant I wanted to use. So all it really is just this same thing. We're just adding the body, and we're just running the assistant ID. All right, you get your assistant ID, you just go back into your platform, and you just click on your assistant, and it will show the assistant ID, and it will look something like this: ASST underscore blah 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 blah. Okay. Once you do that, so let me just, for example, run the assistant. I don't know if it will, see if it works. Okay, boom, perfect, it worked. So from that point on, there's really 1 to 2 different options for additional endpoint, or for like the final endpoint. I'll show you. So this is retrieving all the messages in that thread. Okay, so this is, so the last two are, one retrieves all messages and this one retrieves the last response. So you may or may not need this one because you could technically just reference the last response from here regardless, but this kind of just, you know, if you only want the last response, you may want to use this too. So I'll show you both. So retrieves all messages. So this is the endpoint of, I believe, threads, messages. So if we go to the platform or the API docs, this loads. Here, I'll refresh it. Oh, here we go. We got it. Okay, so no, we don't got it. Okay, so I believe it would be under threads, and we're going to get thread. Come on. Okay, well, while that's loading, drink a sip of your coffee. Make sure it's, you know, all black. And then let's see here. Okay, so we're using /threads, then the thread ID, and then /messages, and we're doing a get response this time. All right, this is going to grab all the messages, so you don't need to send any body. It's like very simple. You just do a get, so you can delete the body, and it's going to give us all the messages. All right, you'll see the different messages are within this whole array of data. So we see the different messages, IDs, etc. Right here. You can see I got a decent amount of messages. And let's go here. Let's see if it load. Okay, cool. So I believe it would be under, is it retrieve messages? Threads, thread ID, messages, message ID. No, so it's retrieve thread. Yeah, so we're retrieving the thread message. Retrieve messages. Is it list? I think it's assistant. No, it's list messages. That's what we're doing, I believe. Yep. So we're listing the messages first. The reason being is because, well, OpenAI just produced a new response to what we asked it. So if we wanted to reference any specific message ID, we would need that message ID, right? If you just pulled the message ID from your previous node, that would be the message you sent. So we need to list the messages so we can actually see the most recent message, which is this. So you can see here, this is the most recent response from ChatGPT. So we could just use that in our workflow, or we could do one last HTTP request. Same thing, it's a get. The only difference is at the end we're doing a / and then we're referencing. So it's the same thing as basically the same endpoint. Like I said, we're listing them. You can see the different responses here as well. And then we are actually retrieving a specific message, which is this, which is just / message ID. And you can see we're referencing the message ID of the last message right here, which is in data 0, right? And all we're doing is, yeah, I don't need this anymore. All we're doing is just a get response. So I get, we're testing, and you can see here we got the last message ID in the same thread, the assistant, the thread ID, the run ID, the assistant, the content type, or, you know, value right here. So then from that point on, we could go ahead, go out, build out our flow, and we could reference that specific message. And if we wanted to do that, like do this again, we could simply just copy this, paste it over here. I just only pasted 3, but you could paste all 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 4, whatever. Well, 4 HTTPs and 1 OpenAI. You could also do stuff where you like create the variable of the different, you know, say if you wanted to change out the message assistant, you could do set variable in a different node, so it's easier to do a set field, and you could just call this assistant ID. I spelled assistant wrong. And then you could just put your assistant ID here. And then if you do, I believe we only reference, it's not like we reference it a huge amount. I think it's only once. But it's easier than just having to go into whatever specific one it is and find it. And you could do specific variables like that for, you know, if there's any other areas that you want to variabilize, and then you could, instead of having to change it out, if you need to change it within your workflow, you could just change it in the variable. Obviously, you could change this to assistant ID, and say, not going to figure out where to change it right now, but probably will do this just because it's a little bit easier if I do want to change out the assistant for any reason. Okay. And that's pretty much it, guys. Like I said, there are multiple different ways you can build AI agents or use AI within n8n. And we'll be covering some more of those. I mean, they're a little bit, I mean, this way it's not too advanced. You're just using HTTP requests. You're doing it through the API. Some of these other ways using memory, etc. Like you can get similar, or like, I mean, arguably, I don't know. I'm not, you know, I'll let you know in those future videos, but you know, some different ways are probably better in terms of like, depending on your use case. You know, if you really need to like have really good context and memory, or maybe you're building like a specific AI agent or bot for your company, you may want to use memory or different embeddings or vectors, whatever. And I'll show more about those in future videos. So stay tuned for that. If you're new to this channel, make sure to subscribe. If you got value from this video, let me know in the comments down below if you have any questions or suggestions for future videos. If you're new here and you haven't already joined our Stride community group, link for that will be in the description down below. It's 100% free Facebook group, free Discord channel. We have about 750 to 800 members in both those combined. So we're growing that. You can network with myself, as well as like-minded individuals, AI enthusiasts, automation experts, business owners, marketers, marketing agencies, coaches, consultants, B2B founders, SaaS founders, whatever the case may be, right? I'm just naming them off here. Also, too, guys, if you haven't already checked out my book, Client Acquisition Code, it is super, super valuable. It is over 500, 600 pages, depending on the hardcover or softcover. So yeah, it's extremely valuable, very value packed, no fluff, etc. Check that out in the comments down below, or link in the description below. And then also too, guys, if you want help automating your business and generating a bunch of leads, building AI appointment setters that book leads automatically into your calendar, scaling your business, etc., book a call at executivestride.com/apply to speak to myself, and we can see if it would make sense to partner up. And then other than that, guys, I will see you in tomorrow's video. We upload videos every single day here, so make sure to subscribe to stay tuned for more value. Keep hustling, keep grinding, guys. And of course, guys, accelerate your stride. Have a great weekend. Take care.